Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Ruthman. I am your host, John Ruthman. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every weekday, it expands our base. We have a variety of subjects to deal with this morning. Each one, in my judgment, is equally important. First, let's deal with Ukraine. The escalation of rhetoric between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump continues to escalate. And the simple truth is that some of the Russian officials are talking about a broader war, even a World War III. There is no doubt in my mind that the situation in Ukraine continues to trouble the world. It is important to note that there is now a consensus in the Congress of the United States to continue to support Ukrainian independence. But this is a complicated question because supplies and intelligence sharing all have to be authorized by the President of the United States. And so far, Donald Trump seems reluctant, although he is now talking about imposing tariffs on Russia. This is a dramatic escalation of where we are in the Ukraine war. There is real fear in Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, and parts of Poland that if the United States does not strengthen its commitment to Ukraine, that Vladimir Putin will be emboldened. Do you remember when Donald Trump, before he ran for president, and then when he was running for president, and then when he took office, saying he would call his friend Vladimir Putin and they would resolve the problem? Well, his friend Vladimir Putin has seemed somewhat elusive, somewhat determined to continue what is clearly Russian aggression. So here's the question that we must pose this morning. What does the world think of this confrontation? I would suggest there is real fear that I believe is justified. We have to hope that calmer heads prevail. But I do want to point something out. On Friday last, Donald Trump and his administration issued layoff notices to most of the members of the National Security Council. Experienced people in analysis and diplomacy no longer work for the National Security Council. They are either being returned to their previous jobs or they're being laid off completely. Who is Donald Trump relying on for information to make the right judgments? We are told that he generally proceeds from his gut. This is not a question of a gut instinct. This is a question of international diplomacy and two nuclear powers squaring off. And what about Ukraine itself, where the missiles continue to fly, the drones continue to hit, and frankly, more people are put in jeopardy? This is a moment when we must realize the danger of what's happening in Ukraine. The second issue that I want to raise with you is one caused by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He now says that the COVID vaccine should not be made available to pregnant women or healthy children. And of course, the reaction of the medical community is one of absolute fury. What in the world is he talking about, they're asking? Particularly pregnant women who need to have access to a vaccine which doesn't prevent the virus, but which, as we now know, reduces the danger of the virus. In addition to that, it is now reported, though not confirmed, that Mr. Kennedy is going to put a harness, if you will, on physicians and scientists who work for the Department of Health and Human Services. No publishing in medical journals without his consent. If this is true, it is censorship, well, that is absolutely unacceptable. The moments that we faced with the COVID vaccine, difficult moments, and we remember when who knew what was going to happen next. We know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is opposed to vaccines in general, but to eliminate vaccines for pregnant women and healthy children, refusing to cover the cost of those two constituencies, to me is completely irresponsible. And now let us turn for a moment to the question of pardon power. Under the Constitution, the president has absolute right to pardon. And that's just the way it is. But let's remember something. People are being pardoned at this moment. People are being pardoned. And the question becomes, why? Who are they? Primarily Trump supporters, Trump contributors, and we must be aware that this represents a real danger to our justice system. I was very critical of Bill Clinton in the rich pardon, and I've been very critical of other presidents in terms of pardons that they have issued. But the unrestricted pardon power of a president is clear. One of the things we are seeing and learning about Donald Trump is if you pay enough money or you support him actively enough, you can have a pardon. Whether it's Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, the pardon power of a president, well, it represents a problem, particularly when I heard the story of a pardon, well publicized, where the mother of the person pardoned gave $1 million to Donald Trump in one of his proposed programs. There is something terribly wrong, and we ought to be aware of it. And finally, this morning, I want to deal with the question of Harvard University. I am not someone who overreacts, but do you understand that what is happening at Harvard will affect all of us? The fact that research grants are being cut off, and that this president is on a vendetta against Harvard University, and frankly, other educational institutions. If you want to handle the question of Jew hatred on a campus, it's not the federal government that should be stepping in. It is the administration of the college or university. It is professors at that college or university. And as for the question of foreign students, we've discussed it before, and we will no doubt discuss it again. The idea of banning foreign students is absurd. The whole point of a college or university education is to intermingle. And the fact that now Donald Trump is talking about checking out their social media sites before they come into the country is to me a shocking violation of the First Amendment. Yes, a shocking violation of the First Amendment. I don't excuse anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, anywhere. But let me assure you of one thing. If Donald Trump can impose these kinds of penalties on Harvard or on individual university professors because of their political point of view, we are in deep trouble. I would rather see people disciplined by their own universities, not by the federal government. And the idea of cutting off all of the grant money which goes to Harvard University, one of the great research universities in the world, is absolutely absurd. I don't know what it will take for people to understand the danger that Donald Trump represents. But these examples this morning, it seems to me, should be enough to cause even those who support Donald Trump to think and reflect. If a Democrat were in the White House and a Democrat were doing this, can you imagine what the Republicans would be saying on all of these measures? No, we have a problem in this country, and it's one that needs to be addressed effectively and thoroughly. And let's hope we do it before too much damage or more damage is done. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. You can interact with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and of course by emailing me. And a special thanks this morning to Gogo Zoger, the wonderful producer of this podcast, who makes sure that Around the Political World with John Rothman is up and running every day. Thanks, Gogo. See you tomorrow.